I was looking for a quiet place to die. Someone recommended Brooklyn. And so the next morning I traveled down there from Westchester to scope out the terrain. I hadn't been back in 56 years and I remembered nothing. My parents had moved out of the city when I was 3, but I instinctively found myself returning to the neighborhood where we had lived, crawling home like some wounded dog to the place of my birth. A local real estate agent ushered me around the 6 or 7 brownstone flats, and by the end of the afternoon, I had rented a 2-bedroom garden apartment on 1st Street, just half a block away from Prospect Park. I had no idea who my neighbors were, and I didn't care. They all worked at 9-to-5 jobs, none of them had any children, and therefore, the building became relatively silent. More than anything else, that was the thing. A silent den in a sad and ridiculous life. It was early spring when I moved in, and for the first few weeks, I filled my time by exploring the neighborhood, taking long walks in the park, and planting flowers in my back garden, a small junk-filled patch of ground that had been neglected for years. I had my newly resurgent haircut at the Park Slope Barbershop on 7th Avenue, rented videos from a place called Movie Heaven, and stopped in often at Weidman's Attic, a flooded, badly organized used bookstore owned by a flamboyant homosexual named Harry Weidman. More about him later. Most mornings I prepared breakfast myself in the apartment, but since I disliked cooking and lacked all talent for it, I tended to eat lunch and dinner in restaurants. Always alone, always with an open book in front of me, always chewing as slowly as possible.
Give us some music, come on.
I could. After sampling a number of options in the vicinity, I settled on the Cosmic Diner as my regular spot for lunch. The food there was mediocre at best, but one of the waitresses was an adorable Puerto Rican girl named Marina, and I rapidly developed a crush on her. She was half my age and already married, which meant that romance was out of the question, but she was so splendid to look at, so gentle in her dealings with me, so ready to laugh at my less than funny jokes, that I literally pined for her on her days off. From a strictly anthropological point of view, I discovered that Brooklynites are less reluctant to talk to strangers than any tribe I'd previously encountered. They butt into one another's business at will. Old women scolding young mothers for not dressing their children warmly enough, passers-by snapping at dog walkers for yanking too hard on the leash. They argue like deranged 4-year-olds over disputed parking spaces. They zip out dazzling one-liners as a matter of course. One Sunday morning, I went into a crowded deli with the absurd name of La Bagel Delight. I was intending to ask for a cinnamon raisin bagel, but the word caught in my mouth and came out as cinnamon Reagan. Without missing a beat, the young guy behind the counter